Hey everybody, Mr. Odom here, and I am going to cover section 5.1, which is ratios and rates. This should be a sort of a review for you, as this is covered in sixth grade math. As always, you'll need your pencil, composition book, or notebook paper to take notes, and you might need a calculator. And the learning target for this video is I can find ratios, rates, and unit rates. So let's get started. Um, This is a review, a ratio. What is a ratio? Well, a ratio is a comparison of two quantities using division, and here are some examples of ratios, how you can write them. The main one I want you to focus on, let me see if I can find a highlighter pretty quickly, and I can maybe, is ratios can be written as fractions, okay? When they're written as fractions, and we can do math with them. We can add, subtract, we can simplify, multiply, and divide them. So just a reminder there about ratios. Remember, a rate is a ratio, so it is a comparison of two quantities using division. But a rate has different units. So notice here in the numerator, I have miles. In the denominator, I have hours. So this is a rate. And then a unit rate is a rate, which is a ratio. So a unit rate is a rate with a denominator of 1. So always in a unit rate, your denominator will be 1. If the numerator is 1, I don't care. We just want to make sure that the denominator is 1. Okay, so what I want you to do now is pause the video and write these definitions in your composition book. And if you're watching this through Edpuzzle, the video will stop now. All right, so we're back. And let's look at some examples. So these examples come right out of the textbook. So example 1, there are 45 males and 60 females in a subway car, and the subway car travels 2.5 miles in 5 minutes. We need to find the ratio of males to females. So this is important because they tell us the order or how to set up our ratio. So it'll be set up this way: males to females. And remember what I said about writing ratios as a fraction. So we could do that. Let me just write this way. So this would be 45 males to 60 females. And we can write this as a fraction. So here we go, 45 to 60. And then what should we always do with our fractions, ratios? We should always simplify them. So what number goes into 45 and 60? Well, I know 15 does. So I can divide numerator and denominator by 15. And I end up with 3 to 4. So I have 3 males to 4 females, or 3 males for every 4 females. Okay, and then let's look at part B. Let's find the speed of the subway car. So the subway car travels 2.5 miles, I'll abbreviate for miles, in 5 minutes. And what we want to do is we want to find the speed, and I put a little reminder over here: speed is a unit rate. So we want to find a speed where the denominator is 1 minute. How do we go about doing that? Well, we need to divide 5 by something. And what would we divide it by? 5 divided by what equals 1? That's correct. 5 divided by 5 equals 1. So if I do that to the denominator, then I need to divide the numerator by 5. And when I do that, I end up with this decimal. in my numerator, 0.5 miles in 1 minute. And that's okay. You can have a decimal in the numerator. We're going to learn a definition in a few minutes that lets us be able to have actually fractions in the numerator or denominator, or decimals in the numerator or denominator. Okay, so this is our speed. We're traveling basically half of a mile in 1 minute. Let's look at another example. So example 2, ratio table, which is something that you had an entire section on last year in 6th grade math. Ratio table is a very powerful tool. You should be very comfortable using them. So this particular one shows the cost for different amounts of artificial turf. And we need to find the unit rate, and they're going to tell us how to set up our unit rate, dollars per square foot. So our unit rate, if I'm going to draw it like this, should be dollar. So the units in the numerator should be dollars, and I don't know what those are yet. I'll put a question mark. Per square foot. So in 1 square foot. So this is how our unit rate will look. And how do we get there when we have a ratio table? Well, notice that for the ratio table, in each one of these ratios, to go from one to the other, I'm just multiplying by 4. So these really are all equivalent ratios or rates. And now I have to pay attention to how I'm going to set up my rate that I will use to convert into a unit rate, because it's dollars per square foot. A lot of times students they'll start off and just say, oh, that looks like 25 over 100, so I'll just use that. And the problem with that is we have to remember the units. Okay, so if I write it like this, that's 25 feet squared per $100. But we want our unit rate to have dollars in the numerator. So what do? Well, what you do is, and you could pick any one of these pairs, doesn't matter, but I'm going to pick the first one. I'm going to write it as $100 per 25 square feet. Okay, let me scoot this up a little bit. And then to convert this into a unit rate, where I have 1 square foot in the denominator, I have to do what? I need to divide by what? Very good. I have to divide by 25. And I also have to divide the numerator by 25. And when you do that, you end up with your answer, which is $4. So I could come back here, I can erase this question mark, and then I can put $4 in my numerator. And I'm done. There's my unit rate. There's my cost per square foot. All right. So let's look at some practice. So in example 1, find the ratio of females to males. So I wrote down how many males and females there were from example 1. So we want, in example 1, we want to look at what is the ratio of females to males. All right. So what do we need to do to set this up? Well, I know there's 60 females and there are 45 males. And then we need to simplify this. And remember, from example 1, I just need to divide numerator and denominator by 15, and I end up with 4 females for every 3 males. Okay, so that takes care of that one. For number 2, find the ratio of females. So this time we want to find the ratio of females to the total. All right, total here. total number of passengers. Well, I know I have 60 females, and how many passengers are there? Well, I need to look at both of these numbers. What should I do with the 60 and the 45? That's right. I need to add them together. So 60 plus 45 is 105. So that's the total number of people. Can I simplify this? You absolutely can. You can still divide both of these by 15. And if I do that, 60 divided by 15 is 4. So I still have 4 females. And then 105 divided by 15 is 7. Where's my, I lost my pen here. Where'd it go? Oh, it's over there. Here we go. Sorry. 7 total. Or total's probably not the right thing to say. So 4 females for every 7, we can just say people. Okay. So that's the first 2. Let's look at this third one. So number 3 says the ratio table shows the distance that the International Space Station travels while orbiting Earth. Find the speed in miles per second. So remember the miles per second. So I'm going to choose those first 2, and I'm going to write down 14.4 miles. That's in 3 seconds, and that should equal something that goes in the numerator. I don't know what it is yet, but it's for every 1 second because I know speed is a unit rate. So to go from 3 to 1 using division, I divide by 3. So I need to divide the numerator by 3. And when you do that, you end up with 4.8. Put that in your calculator and check my work. So this is your speed. So that International Space Station is moving pretty quick, right? 4.8 miles per second. And so we're done with those. So here's another definition for you. It's called, the definition of a complex fraction. So this is the definition, and it's this first sentence. A complex fraction has at least one fraction in the numerator, denominator, or both. So here's an example of a complex fraction. 1/2 over 8. Here's another example. 1/2 over 1/4. Here's another example. 16 over 1/7. These are all complex fractions. And it says you may need to simplify complex fractions when finding ratios and rates. So what I want you to do is pause the video here. Apologize for that. And write the definition of complex fraction in your composition book. So if you're watching Edpuzzle, the video will pause now. All right, so we're back, and let's look at example 3. So this graph here shows the speed of a subway car. So we want to find the speed in miles per minute. Miles per minute. And we're going to do that because we're going to compare this to what we found in example 1, which is that speed was 1/2 of a mile in 1 minute. So the first step is choose and interpret a point on the line. So we could pick a point on the line. We could pick one of the ones that's already labeled here, or we can pick one of our own. In my opinion, I always try to find something where I don't need to have fractions. So let me use this point, which would be the point that x value comes first, which would be 6, and the y value is 3. So we want to interpret that. What we mean by interpreting is we want to add the units to this. So this is 3 miles. Let's see. So we have 3 miles in 6 minutes. So I just made a rate, and let's see if that will work for us. Okay, so we want to find the speed, and let's find the speed here. So I have 3 miles in 6 minutes. I need to convert this to a unit rate where my denominator is 1 minute. So what I need to do, I need to divide by 6. And I need to divide the numerator by 6. And 3 divided by 6, if you put that in your calculator, you will get 0.5 miles in 1 minute. And we can look and see that this speed matches what we had in example 1. So the comparison is it's the same, right? They're the same. So let's look at number 4 here. It says use the point 3 1/2 to find the speed of the subway car. So remember, distance is the second value. So that's our distance. That's the y value. So we want to set up our rate, and it looks like this: 1.5 miles in 3 minutes. All right. And what could we do? Well, we can still find the unit rate. That's okay. Because if we find the unit rates and we can compare them with the unit rates that we found in step 2 and then example 1. So let's divide this by 3. That gives me my denominator, 1 minute. So I need to divide 1.5 by 3. And you can put that in your calculator, and 1.5 is the same as 1.5. So 1.5 divided by 3 still gives us a 0.5 miles. So it doesn't really matter which point you pick on the graph. That's the point of doing this exercise. Any point you pick on this blue line up here will give you can calculate the speed with any point on here. All right, so all of the points on here, we're going to learn later that they are proportional. All right, so that's it for this video. Hopefully that was helpful to you. And this is Mr. Odom. I'm taking off. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.